You know what you don't need to homeschool your child? A college education, a huge classroom, and lots of fancy curriculum. I'll tell you what you do need here in just a second. Hey everybody, it's Amanda here at the Bealles, and I am here to share with you how to get started in homeschooling. So, if you don't know me, like I said, I'm Amanda, and this is my family, the Bealles, and I'm a veteran homeschool mom. I have homeschooled all three of my children until they graduated. They are all college educated, they have jobs, they're functioning adults. I always say that's by God's grace because it totally is. But I've been asked a lot of questions right now with everybody getting started with homeschooling, and so I wanted to go ahead and answer them in a video series. That way I can just point people to this and they can get their questions answered. So yesterday I made a really tried to be encouraging video, which I called, what if I mess up my child? Because I feel like that's like the most common question that I get asked. This one is going to be more strict because when you're talking about getting started with homeschooling, there are things that do need to be in order. Now, you don't have to worry about messing up your child. It's going to work out just fine. But to prepare to make sure that they are going to be well educated, there are things, like I said, that have to be in order if you're going to be able to do it well. So we're going to talk about those things today. And the very first thing that you absolutely have to have in order is you have to know and understand your state and local laws when it comes to homeschooling and be in compliance with them. You absolutely have to. Now, every state is different, and even within certain states, certain localities are different. It is your responsibility as the homeschool parent to make sure you know and understand and are in compliance with those laws. Now, what I usually recommend to people when they're getting started with homeschooling is to go find a local homeschool organization, connect with them, and have a veteran homeschool mom kind of walk you through what the requirements and the recommendations are for your state so that you have some kind of understanding from someone who's been there and done that. And they'll probably be very encouraging. They'll probably tell you, oh, it's okay, this is how we do it. And they'll make it sound so simple. But the fact of the matter is they might miss something. They might be so busy talking to you about curriculum and testing that they miss telling you that you are required to keep a record of your child's vaccines at home. You are responsible for it ultimately. So make sure you visit whatever websites are required, you talk to whoever in your county that you need to talk to, but make sure you are absolutely 100% legally homeschooling where you are, and you are meeting all of the standards and requirements that are needed for your area. I'm not going to lay them out specifically here because, like I said, each area is different. And I thought about putting down in the description box some links for you. But to be honest with you, I really think it is most valuable for you to actually go and physically do that research. So when the time comes, if you ever have a question, you can go back and hunt that down yourself. Be familiar with it. That's the only thing. You don't really need to be scared of it. In a lot of states, it's not too complicated, but you absolutely must know what the legal requirements are, and you must be in compliance with them. And it is not your homeschool group's responsibility. It is yours. So make sure you know and understand that. Now, I know I got a little tough with you there, but once you get an understanding of the legal requirements and you are homeschooling legally, then you can get on with the good stuff, the fun stuff, the stuff that everybody wants to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is space. You do need some space that you can use for homeschooling. It just has to be designated because ultimately, if you're going to keep your child functioning in your homeschool system, then they have to know that once they get to this certain space, it is school time and they need to be buckled down and paying attention. Trust me, that is in your best benefit. Now, once they get the hang of homeschooling and once you have the hang of homeschooling, then, a lot of times the whole house becomes free reign. I just find that when people are first beginning, it's best to have a little structure and then loosen up rather than start out loosely and feel like you have to rein everybody in. So start with a little space that's designated for homeschooling. It does, like I said, doesn't have to be a whole classroom. When I first started homeschooling my children, My two boys had been in public and private school, and my daughter had never been in either. So when I first started homeschooling, I had a whole classroom, and I put it in my house, and I actually put it in an extra bedroom that was on my second floor, and I put chalkboards up, and I did all the things. And then I found that it just totally did not work for us. First of all, recommendation 1, make your space near the kitchen. Just trust me, you're going to be going back and forth for snacks and water, and you're going to have to make meals throughout the day, and they're going to still be working, and you're going to keep an eye on them. So the next year, I moved the entire classroom down to my dining room, which was no longer a dining room, but it's right next to my kitchen, and we still had a formal classroom, and everybody had their own individual desks, and I set the whole thing up. But by this time, we were kind of all getting in the gist of how homeschooling worked. So people were starting to migrate to couches and beds, and I didn't mind as long as the work was getting done. After those few years, we pretty much did away with the entire classroom situation. Bookshelves started popping up in everyone's bedrooms because everyone had their favorites. And frankly, there's several in my living room as well. And people mostly just started schooling at the kitchen table, and all the way up until the very end, that's pretty much where it happened. And if you ask most homeschoolers, they'll tell you it usually happens at their kitchen or dining room table. So, but whatever it is, whatever your space is, just designate it. Say we're gonna school at the kitchen table. So come out at this time and get yourself together, and we're gonna get ready to school. Have a designated space. That's really gonna help. Okay, out. So then you're ready to pick curriculum, right? I know everybody is dying to know about curriculum. I am going to give some grade-specific suggestions here in the next few days. So these suggestions are very general, but I think it'll help you to be able to pick curriculum that works. When you're choosing homeschool curriculum, you want to start with curriculum that you're familiar with if possible. Now, my children had started in public school, and then they moved to private school, and then we went to homeschool, my two oldest. And so when they were in private school, they used the Abeka curriculum, and so we were familiar with that. So when I started homeschooling, I just right off the bat took the Abeka curriculum straight out of the box, and that's what we used. Once I got comfortable with schooling, I started trading things out and trying new things, but it was good for us not to have too many new things at once. The kids knew how Abeka worked, I knew how Abeka worked, and so we were able to just slide smoothly into that and start making small changes as we went. And I still think that's a really great idea. If you have never done this before and you have the opportunity to use a curriculum that you're already familiar with, that might be a good option for you so that you don't have too many changes at once and everybody can flow smoothly into this homeschool process. It's going to be helpful. Now, if you haven't homeschooled before and you're unfamiliar with homeschool books, then I totally recommend that you ask other homeschoolers to see their homeschool books. You know, this is, again, part of meeting up with other homeschoolers and getting to know them. Ask to see them. You want to touch the curriculum books. You want to look at how they're solving math problems. Is it how you understand how to solve math problems? Because it's a little bit different sometimes. If possible, I know it's challenging right now, but if you have a possibility to do it now or in the future, go to curriculum fairs, actually handle the curriculum and look at it. See if it's something your child would be interested or not. Everything doesn't work for all people. You really have to know your child and yourself. Take a look and handle all curriculum before you invest a lot of money into it. Don't be afraid to change. You guys, with curriculum, you're not married to it. I mean, when you buy something at the beginning of the year, I know you're probably investing some money into it. But frankly, you know, most homeschool books are, you know, under $100. You could probably find another one under $100. Believe me, at that cost, you do not want to be stuck with something for an entire year that's not effective, that you're struggling with, that your child is struggling with. Look for other options. They're out there. So even if you have a hard time, you know, work through it because it's a learning curve. But if it really becomes unmanageable, switch it up. You can do that. The real key with curriculum is being consistent. I'm a strong believer that almost any curriculum will do as long as you do it every single day. Curriculum is made by people who've tried them and tested them. And, you know, the idea is that they already understand that if you follow their whole system, eventually when you get to the end, you will understand the material. So if you're constantly starting and stopping, you might not get it. It might be some confusion. But if you take it from beginning to end and you're consistent about it, chances are your child will pick it up. No perfect curriculum, Just be consistent. Okay, before we get into scheduling and socializing, I just wanted to tell you that I found out that Ultimate Bundles is having their Ultimate Homeschool Bundle this week. It's only on sale until Friday at midnight Eastern Standard Time, and it is a tremendous value. It has 13, I actually wrote it down, 13 ebooks, 8 e-courses, 22 workbooks and printable packs, 5 complete curricula, 2 membership sites, and the Homeschooling Summit, which let me just tell you, in relationship to all the things that we're talking about today that are related to getting started with homeschooling, I mean, they have a whole section of planners, which I think a lot of you guys are getting started and struggling with planning. They have the deluxe homeschool printable planner. They have a digital homeschool planner, and they actually have, and I thought this was a super great idea, Autism Mom Planner with a visual schedule system for kids. That in and of itself is a $35 value. By the way, this entire Homeschool Ultimate Bundle is only $29.50, and it's a $1,300 value. They have some support products. They have a 5 days to your best homeschool years e-course. And the Start Homeschooling Summit is just tremendous. It has 33 homeschool workshops and bonus resources. There's 20 of them. You can find it. Information about all of it on the affiliate link below. You guys, I have bought Ultimate Bundles before, and every single time I've been very happy with my purchase. And that is why I promote them here. $1,300 in support materials for less than you would probably pay for your cheapest homeschool book. I am not even kidding you. Take a look at it. It's a great deal. It'll help you with getting started with your homeschool, and I know you'll be glad you did. So again, affiliate link down below. Back to scheduling and socializing. Speaking of consistent, scheduling. You know, one of the other questions I get asked about a lot is discipline in the homeschool. And the truth of the matter is, discipline in the children starts with discipline in the parent. And when it comes to your scheduling of your homeschool, this is the part that's going to be the most challenging, I almost guarantee. You have to be consistent with your rules, with your discipline, with your expectations, with your schedule. And if you can do that, then you'll find that your children will be disciplined in that way as well. When I'm saying discipline, I'm not saying like punishment. I'm talking about training yourself to do what needs to be done. And it's the same with your children. You're training them that they need to be wherever they're supposed to be at whatever time you tell them, with whatever book they need to be there with. So it's all about structure, it's all about consistency, and that's the same thing with your schedule. Believe me, homeschool will expose a lack of general discipline in your home. But that is not a surprise, you guys. If you haven't done this before, it's going to come to your attention. And this is actually going to help you and your children in the long run. You will be thankful for it, even though you do have to work through some challenging times. But this is an opportunity for you to grow in your parenting and them to grow in their maturity. So take it as that. But back to scheduling, you want to make sure that you are doing your hardest subjects first, because that way you don't have to worry about putting things off or your child putting things off. Just jump in, get those hardest things first, and then they can move to their favorite subjects, and that'll really help you with scheduling. I also recommend, especially if you have boys, because I had very active boys, and I'm telling you right now, do yourself a favor. Every morning, give them some active time before they start schooling. Let them run around the yard. We used to actually, when we lived in a suburban area, we actually went to a nearby park and everybody walked or ran or played for at least an hour before we got started with schooling. You know, it helped tremendously for them to get some energy runoff before we sat down with a math book. And I'm sure it will help you as well. Do not neglect the active playtime. They desperately need it. Socializing. It's like the big fear of homeschool moms, right? Let me just tell you, don't isolate yourselves. And I know that's super challenging right now, but frankly, we all need it. Moms need it and kids need it. You have to purpose to make sure you're connecting with other people. Again, these things are your responsibility, mom, when you take on homeschooling. So if you see your child is struggling, if you see they're bored, if you see they're lonely, this is something that you really need to guard against and make sure you're providing opportunities for them to both connect with other people in a friendship kind of way, but also learning in a group environment is very helpful. There's volunteer work, there's clubs, there's co-op groups, and I know there's all kinds of things out there right now where people are trying to make connections online with Zoom meetings or other online groups. Do what you can. Again, you have to keep an eye on these signs to make sure your child is mentally and physically strong regardless of what's going on. We have to take the initiative. So get out there, make sure they're spending time with others one way or another. They're connected, they're focused, and they don't feel lonely. It's important. Can you believe it? That's really it. You have to make sure you're legally homeschooling. You have to have some space. You have to have some curriculum. You have to have a schedule and some discipline. And you have to make sure that people aren't lonely and they're getting social activities with others. But if you do that, that's all homeschool is. You don't have to be overwhelmed. Every book isn't necessary. Every activity isn't necessary. It's as simple as that. And you can totally do it. Just get all of those things in order and you're going to be ready to jump into the school year. So anyway, that's just a simple introduction to how to start homeschooling. And I hope it makes you feel like it's not as overwhelming as, you might have been thinking it was. And if you want to come back, for the next 4 days, I am going to be talking about curriculum. I'm going to talk about early childhood curriculum, then elementary grade curriculum, then middle school curriculum, and high school curriculum recommendations. And I'm also going to do a video on how we homeschooled high school and graduated early, because all of my children graduated at 16 and all got into college very easily. And my oldest son had his bachelor's degree by 19. So if you want to come back and hear all of those recommendations, I will have those ready for you next time. So again, you can follow the Bealles on Facebook and Instagram at the Bealles. And also we have our website that should be coming out this week. So look for it. It's thebealles.com, and I hope you'll follow us there. And that's that. So look for some great resources down in the description box, and we'll see you guys next time.